Samantha was a former trauma therapist, and she's also a 3-time cancer survivor.
The third time I got cancer, without getting too graphic, I had to cut my whole face open. And there was a very, very, very high risk that the whole entire left side of my face would be permanently paralyzed. Of course, I wasn't asking for cancer, but that's what came through. We do have to be really mindful of how we speak and what we say and what we ask God and the universe to do for us, because it will happen.
Because sometimes we take on all of the shame and the guilt, what's wrong with me? Why am I always thinking negative?
If you want something deeper within yourself, if you have that urge of energy, they're like, I know that there's something here, that's your sign.
Got it.
And those are my favorites to work with. Those are my favorite type of humans to work with, because
I got the beautiful, the amazing Samantha Harper here today. She's a sound bowl healer. She's a spiritual mentor, and she deals with frequencies and businesses and all the things to amplify your presence. And Samantha, welcome to Spiritual Fitness. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm so good. Feeling high vibe. Lots of energy swirling around in the atmosphere right now, but feeling really grounded.
We talked about fear. I want to get into that before we get into all the nitty gritty. And you say fear holds a very low vibration, between a 60 or a 70. But what happens is when we avoid fear, we water it to grow. But when we step into fear, we shatter it and break it, and we grow. So Can you give us your interpretation on fear and how we can remove it or just have a better relationship with it?
Yeah, I think it's not about removing it, right? We have to have all of the polarities in life to exist, to experience the highs and to get the lessons and the wisdom from the lows. And so it's not about removing fear, but it's about becoming friends and companions with fear. So with me, anytime fear comes up, I lean in all the way. And I try to bring fear as close to me as possible. I like to go toe to toe with fear and be like, oh, you want to show me up? I'll show you up. Hold on. Let's see who's really boss here. Because like you said, like I had mentioned before, fear is a very low frequency. It only vibrates at a 60 to 70 hertz, which is very, very low. We operate as humans much higher than that even. The only thing that gives fear strength is our rumination and our nurturing of it. So the more you say, oh my gosh, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this, it magnifies in your body.
In your body, your vessel. Okay.
Right. And so when you say, instead of I'm afraid, is, ooh, this is bringing up something for me that I don't prefer, right? It's not good, it's not bad, it's just not a preference. And when you can identify it as that and not nurture it and know how to overcome it, then the fear shatters. And then you actually get to the other side, which is what you want, really. And fear is an illusion. It's such an illusion. It's not actually real. The things we make up, we're really good storytellers. We're really creative as humans. And so we make it out to be something that it actually isn't.
Yeah, and it's powerful because I do believe the stories we tell ourselves, if we believe them, they will be true and we'll live it.
Yep.
So people remove fear. No more fear.
Close to it.
Yeah.
Say, come here. Because we were talking this too. Fear shows you what's important in your life.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, you're right.
You wouldn't be afraid of it if it didn't have some kind of pull or gravitas on your heart, right? Because on the other side of fear is what you desire.
Got it.
Yeah.
Desire is love, joy, abundance, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to move into, so we go from fear to receivership. There's another thing that you said in your podcast. I think her name is Lori.
Lori Harder. Yes.
Yeah. And you said the reason most people are afraid to receive is because they don't want to surrender control. And I was like, wow. So to a lot of us listening, where in your life are you trying to control things? Therefore, you can't receive things that you need.
Right.
Can you break down, how did you get to that concept? Because it's such a beautiful analogy of receivership, control, and maybe some fears in there.
Right. So really we want to receive, right? You want to receive love. I want to receive love. We want to receive in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, a part of us has to create space, which means something has to go. Something has to be removed to create the space in order to receive. And
Yeah.
typically, that is our resistance to the unknown. And so, well, if I get rid of this, am I guaranteed something in return?
Yeah.
If I let go over here, I don't know if it's going to be good enough of what I'm going to receive on the other side. And so, again, a lot of illusion. But the best way to allow yourself to receive is to surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And surrendering is one act.
Yeah.
It's not, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. That's rumination. That's stuck,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so we want to just say one time and one time only is I surrender, which means I do give up control, which means I do let go, which means I don't get to know all of the answers. And by doing so, you receive, and then you have to allow the unfolding to happen. So it's really like a 3-part step. Surrender, receive, allow. Allow it to be better than you could possibly imagine.
Surrender, people, receive, allow the unfolding. I love that.
Yes.
Because when we surrender, we let go,
Mm-hmm.
we can receive new things, new downloads, new insights, new people, new opportunities. And even though it's not in our control, it's in the universe control for our highest good.
That's
Once
right.
we receive that, we can allow that new thing, a new ideology or intention to manifest a new unfolding for our life.
Right, exactly. It's universal law. If something goes, it will be filled up with something new. Whether that be space, time, presence, light. It doesn't always mean something
Right, tangible.
physical. Right, exactly.
And this is beautiful. Well, I just wanted to get that out of the way because that was really great before we got cut off. However, let's move into what you do now within your business and the real intentionality behind you doing sound bowl frequencies for people, events, retreats. Like, let's talk about the business of you and the frequency of you as you talk about that.
Yeah, the frequency of me. Yeah, I've been able to create something really, really beautiful that has a lot of impact. My purpose in this lifetime, my divine mission is to help create connection and help people return back home to themselves. And this is what I do in my spiritual mentorship and my one-on-one coaching and retreats. When I speak on stage anywhere, really, it is infused with this mission of come back home. Because I need you home, because I need your gifts to shine. And when you're spread too thin, your gifts don't shine, and I'm missing out on your magic. And so it's like this responsibility almost to be home to the self so that we can express in our highest, most divine version of who we are to then help everybody that we're meant to help. And everybody has a gift. And it might look a little bit different for everybody, right? Like my gift, you wouldn't be able to do my gift. I wouldn't be able to do your gift. And that is the beauty of it.
Yeah.
But we need to be in ourselves in order to operate in that. So the work that I do is multifaceted. It's very individualized, and it is based off the frequency that you're in right now. So I always meet people right where they're at. I used to not do that.
Talk
and
about
like, meet me up here, and they don't know the path. And so I'm like, okay, I got you. Now I'm going to be like your Sherpa, and I'll meet you at the base camp, and I'll guide you to the peak of the summit to show you perspective. And then I'll bring you safely back home to the self.
That's like a little alchemist journey.
That's right.
You do this whole frequency of you. Now, how do we get home within ourselves to feel safe, to trust that home? I can relate to not really being in my body, and I'm always in my mind. And I feel safe in the mental. I feel safe in the consciousness. I can figure this out. I can think myself through this. But anything that's probably uncomfortable, that is uncertainty within my body, I disregard, I suppress, I ignore. But give us some practical steps we can focus on, or some things to think about for an individual, people listening, how do we feel safe in our body where we can trust that safety?
I don't think it's uncommon for people to want to escape and abandon their body because, sickness, illness, disease, hurt, pain, like we want to escape all of that. And that's in the body,
Yeah.
right? And so it doesn't typically feel safe. But if we can reframe all of that on all of these things being indicators of how to bring you into a healthier version of you, then it does become safe. Then it's like, oh, my body is working with me and for
Mm.
me, not against me. And so nobody's going to like this answer, but it really is to slow down.
Mm.
And to slow down to such an uncomfortable degree that you can listen to what is happening, that you can actually feel what's happening. And sometimes that first layer is, I just feel pain in my shoulder, or I feel hungry, or I feel tired. And so we can start there, right? We can start on the basics. And then once you get past that, you can sit with yourself a little bit longer and start getting to something a little bit deeper of, okay, well, I am feeling pain, but where did that come from? And is it worse than I'm thinking it is? Like, what is the actual truth about this? So you get really honest with yourself. And then you can start to question and become curious about what is coming up for you. And when you start to question and find curiosity in the self, then you'll start to get divine order and instruction.
Okay, so divine order and instruction comes from curiosity of self.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to say that's taken me far in life, just being curious, not even about myself, but about people and life. Rather, it's astrology, numerology, human design, the frequency of you. Mm-hmm. How do we get curious? I don't even know if there's an answer for that. How does one become curious to get into that part of our being where it can give us divine order? Because I think a lot of us at times when we're scattered or there's a lot of chaos in our physical reality, we disconnect from spirit, right? And so we don't really know, is this my intuition? Is this my mind? Is this my heart? Is this fear? So we just avoid it. But how do we become curious in that space of to get that order of the divine within so we can live our life?
Well, I think for you and anybody listening to this podcast in particular, there is a thirst of wanting to understand. Yeah. And it starts there, right? Of like, I'm looking for answers. I don't know exactly where to find them. I am thirsty for more. I know this was my journey, at least. Like I had done so much practice and so much research. I'd been in this world for a long time. And I was like, I know that there's something more. I just don't know how to find it. And so I just put out into the universe. I prayed. I said, God, I don't even know what I don't know. I don't know what to ask for. Help me. Yeah. Help me. I don't know the right questions. And then they showed up. Amen. The answers started showing up.
Yeah. And just a simple ask, you get the answers you're looking for when you're asking with that. God, show me. Give me the signs, the symbols, the people. What should I look for? What should I feel? What should I do? And there's another thing you talk about is slowness for growth.
Yes.
That's what I've learned. Anything we take our time in, the better we are.
That's right.
Communicating, working out, listening, dancing. Like we just, we going with the flow of life. We're not ahead of the flow. We are the flow. We're in it and we're taking our time. How does slowing down help us propel further and more in life? What do you have to share with that ideology? Because I believe that.
Yeah, it becomes so much easier because you're not forcing against the flow, right? And so there's certain things that, yes, I would prefer them to go faster because I have a desire to be somewhere where I'm not.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if I can get okay and present with where I'm at and be settled with, I know I'm going to get to the end result no matter what. I might as well slow down and like love what's happening around me.
Process.
Right? That yes. And the slowness too is we're seeking answers from all these different areas and we're not finding answers. Well, you're missing it because you moved past where it was landing. And so sometimes these things take time to land for you. But then once you have the aha moment, it's like a light bulb, and then it's Godspeed. Like there is no stopping you. Right. And so it's patience for sure. But I know for myself, I left my brick and mortar in the summer, and I told my community, I said, one thing is for sure, I'm not leaving you, but I'm not moving until God tells me to move. So I don't know how long I'm going to be gone. I don't know what it's going to look like on the other side, but I am not stepping outside of divine order, because I've tried that. I've done that. It's worked pretty well, but I know it can be better. And I took a spiritual sabbatical, and in that spiritual sabbatical, I was just open and allowing and didn't force anything. And the most amazing opportunities came to me without even trying. I couldn't have accepted these opportunities had I still been doing what I was doing.
Yeah. And that's full faith and certainty beyond what your mind and logic was giving you at that time.
Yes.
And I think that uncertainty phase for most of us is uncomfortable, because
of course it is.
We need the answers. We're looking for the answers. You know, we got to pay bills, got to take care of the kids. You have all these things coming up that you want to do. And we're like, what? I got to wait. I can't go on this trip. Yes, this is, they say rejection is redirection.
Yes.
And then opportunity come, and then you jump several timelines, and you're like, thank God for the wait. Thank you for the patience. Thank you for the presence. Thank God I had poise to make that decision when I was in alignment. And the beautiful thing about your story and what you do, what a lot of people listen, I really want you to listen to this part of this episode, because Samantha was a former trauma therapist, and she's also a 3-time cancer survivor. So I believe when people endure a lot of contrast in life, it means that purpose is greater, stronger, and longer for the collective. So can you move us into your journey of being a trauma therapist, and how'd you get over the cancer phase, surviving 3 times, and to put you in a space of power to help more people be empowered?
Yeah. So the trauma track for me was a lifelong journey. I've had the privilege, and I honestly believe this is such a privilege. I've known my purpose since I was very young. I was about 8 or 9 years old when I proclaimed, I'm going to be a therapist. And I want to help people. I knew, right? Like, what 8 or 9-year-old says that? So I knew, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. And of course, my journey traveled in all these little tangents, but ultimately came back to this one truth, and that I was here to help people. And I have, we all have our recipe of trauma that we grow up with. I had a really strong recipe. And so I survived through all of that. And I said, I didn't go through this on accident. I went through this on purpose, for a purpose, and I'm going to make it purpose. And I got into trauma therapy. I loved my work so much, and I got to help thousands of people in my work. And one thing is true, is that we all want to feel safe, and we all want to feel like we have purpose, right? That's the thing that people come in like, I don't know where I'm doing, where I'm going. I don't know who I am. And so it was this journey of discovery and healing. And it was a really profound time of my life to serve in that capacity. And I still do use my wisdom and my knowledge and my education in the work that I do now. I can't unknow the things that I know. And so that's what gives my work a little bit of a special sauce, is that I've got that trauma-informed background, and I've seen adversity at its finest. And I've traveled the world and seen poverty in ways that you couldn't possibly imagine. And so with all of that, I come home to be able to serve in such beautiful ways. And I'm so grateful for that. And everything that I do comes from that space of trauma-informed. Let's get you into your purpose, where you feel like a whole and complete sovereign being, so that you can step into your light. And then as far as the cancer journey, oh my gosh, what a time. It's been almost 20 years since the beginning of my cancer journey. I got cancer for the first time when I was 20. stage 3C melanoma. I had a 20% chance of living and a 5-year mortality rate, and then got cancer 2 other times, melanoma again, and then a secondary type of cancer that comes if you've had that.
Yeah.
And so my mortality rate went even lower. And it's truly a miracle that I'm even here speaking about this. But to your point, like, I agree with you. I think that when we go through adversity at such a severe degree, like, you have something important to share.
Yeah.
If you've survived that, you have perspective, for one. Like, I know what is important to me now, and which is a beautiful thing. And also, I don't care about a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it doesn't matter. And I think that's what keeps me really focused on what I am here to do. And I'm not pulled in a lot of different directions, because I know I am very much here doing what I'm supposed to do.
I think when we spoke before, we talked about words, diction, word choice. We have to be mindful of the words we choose. And you said, I think when you was in your profession of a trauma therapist, you were 20 years old. So you was fairly young, even though you had life experiences, because you started, I think, 16, you just been on your own.
Yeah.
And you said you had a prayer that you said to God about asking God to give you more experiences to relate to your profession with the title you were in, because you didn't feel like you had enough to help so many trauma or people in painful positions. And I don't know what the prayer was, but I think we're going back and forth. And I was asking you, do you think unconsciously when you was praying, go back to what you do, frequency behind your prayer, was it more fear-based, or you thought you had to experience something painful to be in that space to help others heal? And I can't remember what you said, but I want people listening that we have to be mindful of the words we choose and use, because it can become our life. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that moment and what it meant to you and how you see it now? Just life.
Yeah, I prayed a really audacious prayer, and it's a bold one. And I looked very young. And so I didn't think that people were going to trust my wisdom because of the way that I looked, which I know a lot of people can relate to. It doesn't matter like what that means for you, but like, we get judged on how we look, right? And I didn't want that to be a barrier of restriction for people getting healing. And so I prayed, God, give me some experience beyond what I've already done, that people will walk in my office and trust me no matter what I look like. And then I got cancer. And actually now this is the first time I'm hearing it for myself too. The third time I got cancer, without getting too graphic, had to like cut my whole face open. And there was a very, very, very high risk that the whole entire left side of my face would be permanently paralyzed, and I wouldn't be able to smile or talk or eat or speak normally. And wow, glad the rest of that prayer didn't come true, because I do have an intact facial movement, but it was a big prayer. And of course, I wasn't asking for cancer, but that's what came through, right? And so we do have to be really mindful of how we speak and what we say and what we ask God and the universe to do for us, because it will happen, but likely not in the way that you think. And so now I'm very specific with my words. I have to slow down, because I used to be speedy. I'm an Aries. I'm an Enneagram 8. Like, your girl's on the run. Like, I move fast in life. And so,
what's your human design?
Manny Jen. Like, I'm always doing something. So it takes discipline for me to slow down, even to speak the words that I want to speak. And sometimes, of course, I still catch myself of like, oh, hold on, reverse. I was like, scratch that from the record, universe. Let's try again. And it does make you more aware of how you're moving and how you're speaking, and really too how you're speaking to yourself. Like, I say, if you're not speaking kindness over your body, it's essentially like food poisoning. You're feeding yourself toxic frequency. And so if you're not kind, start switching that immediately. That's the first thing that you can do.
And what's the quickest way we can switch that language that you say?
Yeah. So do you have a negative thought that ever occurs for you?
You just asking me?
Yeah.
I don't have negative thoughts. I might have doubt or fear around things.
Okay. So let's just say,
Let's say for me, when I'm
okay.
doing something new I've never done,
What is
just
that self-talk like?
it's more of, should I do this? I don't know. I'll justify like, maybe not. I'll have an idea. I'll shoot it down.
Okay.
If I
Okay.
don't
So
feel enough certainty in my body that I could do it, I'm like, maybe no.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. So
So
it's
it'll go
something
back
you've
and
done.
forth. It'll be a pendulum of my higher self and lower self. Yeah.
Right.
No. Maybe that's, it's that.
Yes. Okay. So when we're entering something new, rather than being like, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't know if this is right for me, or I can't, or I've never done this. What are people going to think? All of these ideas that come up, right? Of like, wow, I get the opportunity to do something that's going to grow me. I'm excited to be a student again. I'm excited to learn.
Mhm.
And so rather than being like, oh, I'm going to suck at this, it's okay. I have an opportunity to grow. Right.
Judgment.
And yeah, just mitigating all of the negative self talk. And I'm not talking about being, you know, positive all the time. It's not that. Like, we have to be real about it too. Of like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
And I'm okay not knowing. And so that's like the flip there too of like, I'm okay not knowing. Maybe it's better that I don't know. Because
Yeah.
if I did know everything, maybe I'd get in my own way.
That's right.
Right. And so it's like, it's a blessing, all of it.
Yeah. And it's such a thing that it comes up when you're not thinking about it. It's not like you're thinking about to be negative or have self doubt or worries.
Right.
It's like, oh, what is this dropping in right now? And why?
Mhm.
And
And
this is very,
curiosity.
yeah. And why is it so heavy? And then to take it even deeper, I tell people sometimes you got to be wary of your surroundings, your environment. Because
Mhm.
I have an open spleen in my human design, so I'm very sensitive and open throat. So I can pick up what people thinking, what people feeling. So sometimes if I allow myself to be more receptive to others without being aware, I can take up other people's energy and their thoughts become my thoughts. And I'm like, I don't even think like that. Like,
Right.
is this my thinking?
Right.
I think like, who was I just talking to someone? And we're sensitive beings. So
Yes.
sometimes, depending on who we're around, we can pick up on their energies, their thoughts, and it can become our life. And that's why by osmosis, microbiomes, as us, sharing energy in the space, we're taking on each other energy. It could become our life long
Mhm.
term if we're around people who are not as healthy or as strong as we would like to be.
That's right.
So it's a thing of just observing like who we're around, what we say, how we think. And I always say, where's this thought coming from? Because I'm not
Mhm.
looking at nothing for me to have this thought.
Right. Exactly.
Or we can talk about ancestors.
Oh,
It could be
yes.
your ancestors coming in to block things that you know nothing about. And this is why it's so important to do the work on yourself and have that awareness. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because sometimes we take on all of the shame and the guilt, like,
Mhm.
what's wrong with me? Why am I always thinking negative? What did I do? We beat ourselves up.
Right.
And you realize, give yourself some grace, have some compassion, maybe do a little bit more due diligence and say, well, maybe this is a part of the phase I'm in, or maybe this is my mom's, or my
Mhm.
dad's talking to me as a kid that's coming through that I forgot about.
Mhm.
Transition into your business for you. Who is the ideal client and what does working with you look like and feel like for that client or that
Mm.
person or those people?
I've had many, many business coaches, and I tell all of them, I can work with anybody. Anybody's my client. And they're like, no,
Yeah.
you need to niche down. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that. But truly, this is soul work. And
Mhm.
so everybody is ideal. If you want something deeper within yourself, if you have that urge of energy, they're like, I know that there's something here, that's your sign.
Got it.
And those are my favorites to work with. Those are my favorite type of humans to work with because they're curious and they were just like me, just like us. Like didn't know where to look and then all of a sudden this person shows up, the teacher arrives and the student is ready.
Mhm.
Right? And so what it looks like to work with me, I do all one-on-one work because I think it's really important to get to the unique vibrational signature of somebody and work within their vibration And I mean, I love group work too. There's something really powerful with collective work, but I find the most impact is working with individuals and being able to find the nuance of the frequency and energy and unblock these areas that seem to be heavier than they actually are. But when you have somebody else holding space for you, you realize, oh, this burden is not so heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not crazy. Oh, these gifts that I have are real. And I love that type of work. And so I do one-on-one coaching, but also so much sound healing. I travel internationally for sound healing. I'm on big stages all the time with sound healing. Whether I'm speaking about it or playing, they all are the same because my vibrational signature, my voice, my words hold a healing frequency. And so I can talk about frequency and it can provide healing.
Now, when you talk about vibration signature, does it have like a name to it? You know how you have colors like this is blue, this is yellow, or the chakra, this is the crown chakra, this is the heart chakra, the solar plexus. Like in your line of work, maybe you haven't created, maybe I'm thinking out loud, have a vibration signature that has a name for each individual? Or is it more customized, or maybe not, that benefits the client in the moment? So say for instance, my vibration signature is authenticity with positive energy, right? Let's just say that. So I'm just thinking because that's such a unique term, vibration signature,
Yes.
kind of like human design.
So the way that I conceptualize the vibrational signature is like our fingerprints. It's unique to each and every single one of us. None of us have the exact same vibrational signature because we come into this world with divine mission. We have our experiences, we have our wisdom, we have free will. All of these kind of combine into the signature. And I don't have a name for it because that would be limiting what is possible. And it's so much bigger than what we can conceptualize. And I can speak about this through the lens of plant medicine. Like I've sat with a lot of plant medicine. It's such a beautiful teacher. And I've been able to see it when I'm in plant medicine. I can see the frequency of everything. It's so powerful. And you cannot describe it. And so to put a name on your signature would be limiting you. And like, well, I wouldn't want to do that, right?
That's beautiful. Also, not only that, so you said plant medicine. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday about AI intelligence, the consciousness of AI, and how AI is moving faster than we can think. When I was in Peru and I did my plant medicine journey with Wachuma, a download I got, and this was last May, is that psychedelics, plant medicine, possibly maybe in the next 3 to 5 years going to be so needed in the world that more people are going to be moving more into that space. Because I like to believe the ideology of spiritual currency. And as we move and live in this new earth, I feel like spiritual currency it's going to be more prominent than the material currency that we have. What is your thoughts on plant medicine and how do you see it unfolding as we move forward? And what was the actual benefit that you got from your journeys?
For one, I completely agree with you. I think, and it's already becoming more recognized, more acknowledged. There's big people talking about it on big platforms. Aaron Rodgers being one. He's a professional, football player. He talks about his ayahuasca journeys. And this, you wouldn't hear this 5 years ago, right? It was hidden and it was a secret. And it was like, hush, hush, we're only, if you know, like you're not in, right? And now it's everywhere. And mushrooms are being legalized all over the place. And it's coming up, like we are ready for it as a collective, as a society. And the more truth that is before us, the more that is all we will accept.
Yeah.
And so these other ways of healing that perhaps aren't healing are going to go to the wayside, and true healing is going to come through nature. Whenever you have a question, I always tell my clients this: if you're ever struggling, look to nature. What is she telling you?
Yeah.
It's death and rebirth all the time. It's balancing, it's harmony, it's beauty, it's sound, it's color. It's nature will tell you everything, and nature is here to heal us. And it is the abundant medicine.
It's just so true. I had you know how you get the tea bags and you get like a little note. I think this was
Yeah.
a quote by Emily Dickinson, and she said, "Isn't it strange that nature doesn't knock or intrude?" And I was
Mm.
like, "It's so
Yes.
sacred to be in nature." And I believe that plant medicine, I can't say it's equally yoked or just as compatible, but I feel like plant medicine is the physical congruence the way people see AI.
Mm.
Because plant medicine speeds things up in the
Yes.
consciousness to get us to
Yes.
places where we need to be that's benefit the soul, evolution, or the purpose. And I say that to say plant medicine, nature.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about vibration and frequency when it comes to sound.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were talking on offline about the bells, you know, the ringing of the bells in every
Yes.
city. That used to be a thing. And over time, they got taken away.
Yes.
For whatever reason, we don't know. But that vibration holds space in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
What is your consciousness thinking or saying or knowing about the benefits of sound, frequency, and the bowls you do? And also, I want to talk about this development of this project you're working on as well, if you feel called to.
Of course, yes.
Yes.
Well, for one, we do know why the bells were taken away is because it was healing, and that was going against everything that the system was trying to make money off of. And so we had to get rid of natural healing and start propagating ways to make money, right? And so it makes sense. Now everything is coming full circle. We're coming back around to natural healing and natural forms of healing. And as we know, everything is energy, which means everything is frequency. And so what I always say is you can't BS the bowls. And I'm talking about sound bowls. You can't BS it, which means if you try to fake a frequency, the bowl is going to call you out immediately. The
Never thought of
frequency will be like, oh, really? Your heart's open? Let's see it. And then it feels wonky, right? So I'll start to play the heart bowl and your heart's going to be like, oh, contracting. Oh, it feels heavy. Oh, guess what? Your heart's not open. Or you're like,
that.
oh no, my throat's open. And then I start playing the throat chakra bowl and you start coughing. Oh, really? Oh, really? Your throat's open? We'll see about that. So you can't even white lie your way through frequency. It will call you out so quick. And that's what I love about it is that
Real medicine.
gets you honest real fast.
Yeah. Are you saying right now that you can set up a space for people to come to see in their heart, just say their heart,
Mm-hmm.
and tap into whatever emotion that is that they're feeling heavy, overwhelmed, excited to get more clarity? Because
Yes.
I understand that men today in my life that I know or I experienced being around, we're not in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And some men I've known, you know, these last few weeks in my hometown of Baltimore have transitioned. Like I don't know them personally, but I know of them. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot has to do with the heart complications or things with the heart and us as men, the masculine species, not feeling our emotions or embodying our emotions in a healthy way. It's not that you can't be angry or happy or joyful or emotional. It's just not. Now I'm thinking maybe that's a more healthier way for a man to open up to his emotions. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think therapy is great, but if there was like a therapist, say you, was
Yes.
down healing in the therapy and like, okay, what's your issue right now? My heart is broken. I just got out of a 10-year marriage. I don't know what to do. I don't want to live anymore. I just drink all day. And you're saying that the bowls can intentionally work on the heart, work on the
Yes.
throat, work on the crown, the sick. Like it could do all of that.
Yes. Yes. And it harmonizes it. It's like a tuning fork to the body. So when your body's experiencing dissonance, which means what you're feeling on the inside is not what's matching on the outside, it's like my worlds aren't meeting. And that makes you feel super off or like crazy, right? Or if you want your heart to feel a certain way and it's just not, the harmonizing of the bowl, which is pure frequency, will attune to your frequency until it matches.
Ooh, that's good.
And the beauty of that is that you don't have to articulate it with words. This is where you allow yourself to fully receive. And here's the unknown, right? and allowing the mystery of, I don't know how this worked, but it worked. I can feel it. Mm-hmm. And so sound and frequency penetrates the body at a cellular level and works through the fascia of the body, which is the connective tissue, which is the transportation in which information moves through the body. The sound frequency goes straight there and then goes to the area that needs the healing the most.
That's so good.
So powerful.
Oh, we need a master class on that.
I know.
Man, come on.
I got you.
That's really good. So let's talk about this app, this project you're working on, and you're looking forward to eventually expand out into the cosmos and the universe.
Yes.
You can benefit from individually.
We are currently in developmental stages of it right now. We're hoping to beta test this summer and then fully launch by the end of the year. And it is a prescriptive sound healing app that will be attached to wearables like the Oura Ring, the Whoop strap, your Apple Watch. Yes, exactly. And so you open the app and it shows you your data of, wow, you haven't gotten a lot of sleep lately, or your HVR is high, or your stress level is super high. Based on these data points, here is the prescriptive sound healing that will help you mitigate those symptoms to help be in more harmony and a settled frequency within the body. This truly is for everybody and anybody. And we're on the market right now. We're working with some insurance companies. We're talking to the American Cancer Society. Like, there's some big conversations that are happening right now. And I know in my bones that this is the next big thing.
This is it. And that is what you call spiritual fitness. So before we wrap, I have two questions. What does spiritual fitness mean to you and your consciousness of your evolution? And what is your relationship and your feeling of your God frequency and God in your life? And what does that mean?
I love these questions so much. Spiritual fitness is discipline because I live my life so dedicated to this work. And some days I wake up and it's a hard burden to carry. It's a big responsibility. It's a lot. It can be heavy, but I have to be spiritually fit and strong enough, which requires me to be disciplined in my practices.
I love that. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And then God. Oh, God is everything. God is all of it. I spent my whole life studying different types of religion, and it really doesn't matter. Yeah. It's all one. God is one. We are God. Everything that we see is God. And what a gift that we get to be here in this time to experience the magic and the beauty of the divine.
Amen. Hallelujah. Did you go to church this Sunday? You might drop. Samantha Harper. That's the episode. That's great. How can we find you and how do we work with you?
Yes, you can find me at samanthaharper.com. On Instagram, I am Sam_E_peace, Sam E Peace. And you can reach out. I am open for new clients starting in April. So we are ready to roll, my friends. And it's truly like, you're gonna know. If you hear my voice, if this is resonating with you, it's like, oh, that's it right there. Yeah. Then move. Intuitively move on that action.
I love that. Take that online action, because
that's right.
No, she's gonna get your frequency of you in the way of you for your way.
That's right. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah. So Sam, I just want to say thank you. We'll be doing another episode soon.
Yes.
This was beautiful. People, follow her. I'll put everything in the show notes. This was incredible. Sam, you're amazing. And another spiritual fitness episode. People, subscribe, share, like, tell a friend and tell a friend. And let's continue to be spiritually fit. Peace.